So many players forget about this. If your dimension hole energy is at cap, honestly, I can't even blame you. Somehow my dimension hole energy is even worse than the worst case scenario. I'm at 145 out of a possible 130. Between Tartarus lamps, arena wings, GVG swords, regular energy, there's so much to use and manage. And I was also partially inspired by the dimension hole section of the Guardians Club trials that are being introduced this year. And part of the conditions to apply for Guardians Club via the trials this year is to get the monthly rune that's at the end of the dimension hole progress bar at the bottom. So with these two factors in mind, let's talk about 2 dungeons with teams that can help you burn through that energy fast as boy. And you'll get some extra runes along the way. Specifically, ancient runes. And we all know ancient runes are better than regular runes because they shine. No, there's a real reason. The real reason is that ancient runes can have a higher minimum value when it comes to substats. So that means as you power them up, they can also have a higher maximum. And then you can get into ancient grinds and gems that also have higher minimum stat values too. And there's a lot of theoretical value just going to waste if your energy's full. I'm realizing I could learn to practice what I preach a little bit. See, we're all learning a lesson today. Let's talk about the first of the 2 dungeons that we're talking about today, Ellunia. Ellunia's entrance condition is that your entire team has to be composed of the same element. And we're going to be choosing what I consider to be the easiest, which is wind. The first member of your team is Riley the Wind Totemist. Riley's going to be your main source of support for the team. That means heals, attack buff, cleanse, immunity. That's actually everything. But do you need anything more? At this point in the game, if you're thinking about attempting a level 5 run of Ellunia, you probably already have enough violent runes to justify giving a set to her. Make her fast, make her tanky. So fast, in fact, that she moves first, because attack buffing your damage dealers is really important. And like we've discussed on other videos, more speed loosely translates to more turns. So the faster she is, the more turns she's taking. Now imagine how many turns you get when you add on the reliable 22% on top of all that. Second Awakened Royd is going to be our defense break option of choice. Royd is a really fun unit to watch in play because he only has 1 skill, but he attacks additional times. Kind of reminds me of like a free-to-play Dominic. Very different in what he's trying to do, but like in style though.
Royd also got abs. Should we talk about that? This is like the biggest glow up outside of like the Frankensteins.
In the entirety of Summoner's War. In the turn order, you're going to want Royd to follow just after Riley, so that way he'll be there to apply defense break and set up the damage dealers that are coming right after this. And similar to Riley, you'll want to rune him on Violent, so that way he has additional chances to do what he's there to do. And that's predominantly because he is your only source of defense break on the team. So if he misses, it's great to let him just get another chance. We believe in second chances. Royd can also reset the attack bar of a target, and he can apply Provoke. There's a lot of utility here in a single monster. So with that in mind, you really want him to survive too. So rune him tanky and with some accuracy, because his whole job is accuracy res checks. Oh dude, I didn't even talk about this. Royd is like one of the first monsters you get in the game. He's one of the 3.
Ellucia, Seek, and Royd. Those are the 3 monsters you get at the start of the game. And look, and we're still using him. And now he's jacked as f.
All right, here we go. This is the juicy part of the team. We're clear of all that utility, value, what? Enough of the supports. Let's talk damage. Second Awakened Naomi is our first primary damage dealer. Naomi's really reprising her role here. We had a starter guide for the Ellunia dungeon back in the day, and dude, this is her place. What's so cool about Naomi is that she can auto crit. That means you can stack crit damage on her, and you don't need to worry about crit rate at all. Naomi only cares that there's a debuff on the monster before she moves. And hopefully Royd's got us covered with that. Naomi can also apply a brand on the target, so that way monsters that follow after her will have the damage they deal increased. Rune her on Rage, attack, crit damage, attack, filter out all the crit rate possible, and just load her up with crit damage. Now for the last member of your team, Yen, the Wind Rakshasa. Yen is our leader with an attack power lead, as well as a passive that gives her baked in extra turns. Whenever she moves, she has a stacking 20% chance to get an extra turn. So that means Violent is extra potent on her because she's gonna proc way more than the average Violent rune monster. Here again, attack, crit damage, attack is the name of the game on your 2-4-6 slots. It is incumbent on me to mention that if you wanted to swap out one of these damage dealers with the Wind Homunculus, you could absolutely do that. The Wind Homunculus also provides a certain degree of safety thanks to the passive that lets him revive when he's down. If you had to choose between one of the damage dealers to sub out, I'd probably lean closer towards Naomi, purely because that way you still get the leader skill benefit from Yen. But if you find that the branding effect is more potent, then more power to you. Real quick before we move on, I just wanted to mention a speed team option for this dungeon, and it features one of our favorite units from Giants fame, Teshar the Wind Phoenix. who also has the highest base attack in the entire game. In this team, Teshar is going to be your leader with a crit rate lead of 33%. You'll have Prilea move first, then bring Riley for the attack buff, and have the Wind Homunculus at the end.
This team is vaguely reminiscent of the speed team for Giants
That's really popular at the time of recording. That team is a Teshar lead, Prilea move first, Teshar goes, Konamiya boosts it up, then you use 2 max HP damage scalers like Shaman the Light Griffin, and then Wind Homunculus. And this team will just blow through this dungeon. So if you happen to have Teshar, you can bring him here. Put him on Rage, then put Prilea on Triple Fight, rune Riley the same way we've got her runed here, and then the Homunculus can be on Rage as well. The cool thing about Teshar is he also takes a lot of the burden of crit rate off of your units, thanks to that leader skill. Okay, enough about Ellunia, enough about Teshar. Let's talk about our second dungeon today, Carzon. Carzon's entrance condition is that your entire team has to be composed of 4 stars or less. And that is like barely a problem. All the units I want to use are like 4 stars or less, dude. Give me the Holy Trinity any day. Verd, Fran, Lauren beats like the entire game. Can you guess the first 3 members of the team? Just like the last one, we're going to talk about these units in terms of turn order. Fran, the Light Fairy Queen, is the attack buffer where Riley was before. We love that attack buff because it empowers our damage dealers, but also Fran's heals scale on attack. So when she buffs her own attack, that means her heals are going to become even more impactful. And her immunity and cleanse are also very helpful here because the boss can stun you. Next, we've got Lauren the Light Cowgirl. Lauren's here to apply defense break and slows. She also decreases attack bar. We've talked a lot about Lauren in the past, so I won't spend too much time here, but she's great. Probably one of my favorite units in the entire game. And she deserves to be yours too. You can rune Fran and Lauren extremely similarly. Fran can be runed on Violent or Swift. My heart is with Violent though. Having her proc from skill 3 into skill 2 is just, can rune her speed, HP. Lauren, you've got a bit of a choice. You could rune her on Violent, Swift, or my personal favorite these days, Triple Fight. Considering we're talking about level 5 at the Dimension Hole here, you may already have some fight runes lying around. If not, I'd recommend you check out our guide to the Spiritual Realm. That dungeon also just got nerfed, along with the Punisher's Crypt, the Steel Fortress, and Necro, so it's even easier to do than it was before. And like the last dungeon we talked about, it also uses one of the original 3 monsters you get, Seek the Fire Hellhound, but that's a video that you can watch separately. As a substitute for Lauren the Light Cowgirl, you can also use Second Awakened Rauk. Another one of my favorite units in the game, his team-up effect is so helpful here because you have a chance to pull other units from your team who have very valuable first skills. He can also apply defense break. If you opt for Rauk instead of Lauren, you can rune him on damage. Still violent, but attack, crit damage attack, or speed crit damage attack on your 2, 4, and 6 slots. The last on the team, Crow, the Second Awakened Dark Inugami. Crow's main role here, like literally everywhere else, is big debuff scaling damage. So as such, we're going to put him on either Fatal or Rage, your choice, attack, crit damage attack. The reason why you want Crow to move last on the team is because by this point there should be plenty of time to have the boss applied with defense break, slow if you're using Lauren, attack break from Fran, etc. And now he's there to use Scar on skill 3 and apply a brand for the team. He also offers a team up, so you get another instance of bringing Lauren or Fran. I just realized I said that was the last member of the team. It is not the last member of the team. The real last member of your team is Verd the Fire Vampire. He's also your leader. He has a 28% speed lead in dungeons, which is just absolutely essential. His passive says that as long as you land critical hits, you're going to gain 20% attack bar per hit. And each of his skills attack twice. So that's 40% of possible attack bar. If you don't already have a Verd built on damage, might I recommend one? Rage is the best place to be, but 100% crit rate is the most important part. If you're going for a damage build, attack crit damage attack is great and helpful because you want him to move last on your team. That way he's already attacking into a defense break, a branding, etc. And your team is benefiting from the full 40% attack bar that he gives. Those are 2 teams, well 2.5, 3 teams if you count the speed team from before. It's 2.5 teams for 2 dungeons in the Dimension Hole to help you clear out some of that Dimension Hole energy that I know you got stacking up. All right, good luck out there. See you next time.